Hey, welcome back, everyone, to another episode of the Educational AD Podcast. We'll be right back with today's guest, but we want to give a shout out to our partners, Vital Signs Wall of Fame, the Global Community of Women, We Coach, and the Florida Coaches Coalition. You heard me say before that these are four great organizations. You really need to add them to your network. So go ahead and reach out and connect with them. Now, don't hit that fast forward button. Stay with us for 3 minutes. Take a listen to our podcast sponsors. These are all great vendors that you should have working for you. Here we go. We want to thank Gipper for their support of the podcast. Go to Gipper.com. See how athletic directors are creating world-class marketing content for their school, their teams, and their programs. Use our code ADPOD10 and you'll get 10% off. That's Gipper.com. Create custom content for your school's social media channel. We also want to say thanks to Sideline Interactive, indoor scoring tables and video boards. Go to sidelineinteractive.com. Schedule a live web demo to see their tables and their scoreboards in action. Their products not only generate income for your department, but they also create the ultimate game day experience for your student athletes. Probably one of the best purchases I ever made. Go to sidelineinteractive.com. Check them out today. We also want to thank Hometown Ticketing, the leading digital ticketing provider to schools and colleges. If you go to hometownticketing.com, they're going to show you how to set up and start selling tickets immediately for your home games, for concerts, for dances, even graduation. And the best part, every step of the way, you're going to have a dedicated client success manager that provides hands-on support. That's every step of the way. Go to hometownticketing.com and check them out today. Hometown Ticketing, simple and easy online ticketing. We also want to say thanks to Snap Mobile. Snap Mobile is the parent company for an entire suite of platforms designed to help you do your job better. Go to snapraise.com to check them all out. And while you're there, take a look at their fundraising platform, Snap Raise. We used it at our school, and our parents loved it. Our coaches loved it. It really, really works. And they have a program where they will give you your funding before you actually start your fundraiser. I don't think anybody else offers that. Go to snapraise.com. Check it out today. That's snapraise.com. We also want to say thanks to Huddle. Go to huddle.com and change the way you see the game. As a football coach, I used Huddle for years, and I just loved it. When I became an athletic director, I made sure our school was a Huddle school, and our coaches just loved the tools that they sent to our program for their teams, for the coaches themselves, and for the student athletes. It was a complete solution, and you'll find it too. At Huddle, we believe in sports, and teams believe in Huddle. Join the 6 million users. Find out how to turn your school into a Huddle school. We want to say thanks to Wall of Fame by Vital Signs. You know, they're on a mission to bring your school's legacy to life. If you're looking for a really cool way to display your school record boards for all your teams, or to display your school's Hall of Fame, go to Vital Signs Wall of Fame. Check out their great products, and when you're ready to buy, use this link, vitalsignswalloffame.com/Jake. You'll get a nice discount. Bring your school's legacy to life at Vital Signs Wall of Fame. We also want to say thanks to a brand new sponsor. I want you to go to district1.com for a better uniform experience. That's district followed by WON. And you're going to feel like you won because they offer fully custom premium uniforms. They also offer one-at-a-time replacements, so you never need to buy a whole set of uniforms when you only need to replace one or two. District 1 also has on-time delivery in 20 business days. So stop dealing with late deliveries and visit district1.com. Once again, that's WON at the back end. Click the Team Gear button for your free quote. That's district1.com. And we also want to say thanks to Athletic Surveys by LifeTrack. Athletic surveys are a quick, easy, and affordable way for you to collect some very important data that allows you to evaluate your entire program. ADs usually only hear back from the complainers, that 2%. But you need to hear back from the 98% that love and support your program. And that's where Athletic Surveys comes in. They're going to create a custom survey that allows you to take the pulse of your parents and your student athletes. And that's a tremendously valuable tool to have when you're speaking with a school board member, your principal, or with that squeaky wheel parent. So go to athleticsurveys.com. That's athleticsurveys.com. Schedule an appointment today. athleticsurveys.com. Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of the Educational AD Podcast. We're going to one of our favorite states, Ohio, and one of our favorite connections. We'll talk more about that later. Our guest today is Kyle Sasala. Kyle's a registered athletic administrator, and he's the athletic director at St. Vincent-St. Mary High School in Akron, Ohio. He's also a product of the great University of Cincinnati master's program under the direction of Dr. Kelly himself, a former podcast, a frequent podcast guest. So, Kyle, welcome to the Educational AD Podcast.
Yeah, thank you for having me on and explain a little bit about my bio and dropping Dr. Kelly's name in there as well. Excited to be on here, and I appreciate you asking me to be on here. It's I see everything you do through the Athletic Director's Toolbox and all the amazing podcasts and whatnot that you have, and I'm just thankful for you to have me on here. Thank you.
Oh, absolutely! You're too kind. I enjoy what I'm doing, and if we help share some best practices, all the better. And again, you come very highly recommended by the famous Dr. Kelly. So I'm sure you'll mention him later. That's enough about him for now. As you know, we always like to let our listeners have a chance to get to know our guests. So give us that quick bio, where you were born, where you grew up, maybe take us up through the high school and college years. Then we'll take a break and then come back. You can tell us about your early career. So what's the Kyle Sasala origin story?
Yeah, sure thing. Originally from the Northeast Ohio area, right outside the Cleveland, Ohio area, in a small but big hometown of Brunswick, Ohio. I went to Brunswick, Ohio, played basketball and baseball there at Brunswick. Enjoyed my time there, and had the pleasure of meeting a lot of great people, great coaches, administrators, and teachers. And that's kind of where I fell in love with the athletic administration role, and that's kind of where it led me today. But I went to the University of Cincinnati after, or actually take a step back. I went to Ohio University in my first year, right out of Brunswick, Ohio, when I graduated. And I knew I wanted to be some type of something in sports. I wasn't exactly sure yet what I wanted to do yet, but I knew I wanted to work in sports. And my major was sport. I wanted to be a sports medicine doctor. And one thing led to another, and I realized, I got good grades, did everything I needed to do, but I just didn't have the drive, and I didn't want to be in school for, I guess, 10 to 12, 15 years and all that, and have all that student loan debt. But so then I pivoted my studies, and I transferred to the University of Cincinnati that we've already talked about. And actually, I received my bachelor's degree in sport administration from the University of Cincinnati back in 2018, and then continued my studies at the University of Cincinnati and received my master's in sport administration from the University of Cincinnati under the direction of, obviously, Dr. David Kelly, Doc, as I call him. But no, and that's kind of where I started my interscholastic education-based athletics pathway. I started off in a small little school, Walnut Hills High School, and then kind of jumped around to different schools. I was at Roger Bacon High School for a stint, where I was there for a year doing my graduate work, as well as getting my expertise and direction under the ADs in that department. And then I moved forward to Bishop Fenwick High School, which is a co-ed Catholic school up in the Dayton, Cincinnati area. I was there for about 3 years, 2 years as the assistant and 1 year as the athletic director when the previous athletic director stepped away. And then one thing led to another, and I wanted to find my way back to the Northeast Ohio area. I just recently got married. My wife is expecting as well in June. So we said, okay, I think it might be time to make our way back up to Northeast Ohio, and found the St. Vincent-St. Mary AD position was open, and my wife and I sat down and we were thinking, there's no way I'm gonna, there's no way I'm gonna be able to get that position. And kind of threw my hat in the ring, and one thing led to another, and now I'm here. And it's been a crazy up and down journey, but I love being back home in the Northeast Ohio area, and I'm currently living in the Akron area. Not as north as I'm used to, but it's still Northeast Ohio. But yeah, no, been here since August at St. Vincent-St. Mary, and have had like I said, a lot of ups, a lot of downs, and it's been a good ride.
Okay. All right. Well, you covered a lot of ground. I want to touch on a couple of points. Let's go all the way back to those college years. I think that is not uncommon for people to change majors or not know what they want to do. And now you're probably involved with a little bit of that, counseling high school seniors as they go on. When you made the decision to move into athletic administration, what are some memories of those courses, those instructors that you still stick with you today now that you're a full-time AD?
Yeah, with the coursework through the University of Cincinnati, it really propelled me into getting into the uncomfortable situations that I'm put in today. And, whether it's budgeting, financing, sponsorships, eligibility. I can keep going on and on and on. The coursework that the University of Cincinnati has put me through. But I'd like to take it a step further, not even necessarily just the coursework, but just the relationships and connections that I made with the professors, as well as my colleagues that were going to school, going through the program with me at the same time. And I think it's good to have that support system with your colleagues as well as your professors, to propel you into the next stage. I wouldn't be here without the coursework of Cincinnati, but also the relationships and the role models that I had, and my professors and my colleagues, my students that were with me, to push me, and again push me into these uncomfortable situations and get me out there. I think it's all about, people always say it's all about who you know, but it's really about all who knows you. You can know a million different people, but they don't know you, and basically broadening my professional network with my professors and my colleagues has kind of pushed me to where I'm at now.
Yeah, and we're going to talk about that some more. I know that one of the programs Dr. Kelly is really proud of involves grant writing projects. Were you involved in that? And maybe tell the listeners a little bit about that.
A little bit. Actually, he has his one of his classes, one of his coursework is sponsorships and grant writing. I was actually again getting into that real world experience. He had myself and a team partner with a local organization, local school, and one of the things that we did was the NFL grassroots sponsorship or grant, I guess you'd say. That dealt with a local high school that wanted to revamp their turf and needed that resurfacing of their turf. And I believe it was the Cincinnati Bengals were the one, or the Cleveland Browns in my area were the ones that would then work with you and ensure that you have that everything you need for the turf. But yeah, again, it kind of just pushed me out into the real world and got me exposed to things that people in my role are doing today. And also my current assistant athletic director, who I actually brought on at Fenwick and now is in my role as the assistant here. He actually, when he was at Bishop Fenwick, he was in the process of doing creating the NFL grassroots grant to propose to our administration to get turf. So myself and my assistant both have a little bit of dabble experience with the NFL grassroots grant writing. Everything in that nature.
Yeah, what a tremendously valuable tool to have, because as you mentioned, fundraising, sponsorships, such a critical part of an athletic director's job today. For our listeners, our guest today is Kyle Sasala. He's a registered athletic administrator, soon to be a CAA, and he's the director of athletics at St. Vincent-St. Mary High School, and that's in Akron, Ohio. We're going to take our first break, but we will be back with more. This is the Educational AD Podcast. We want to say thanks to Gipper for their support of the podcast. Go to Gipper.com. See how athletic directors across the country are creating world-class marketing content for their teams and their athletes. You don't need any design experience. You can do it on any device, and it's also very, very quick. That's Gipper.com. Mention you heard about it on the podcast, and they'll give you 10% off. Go to Gipper.com, create custom content for your school's social media channel. We also want to say thanks to Sideline Interactive, indoor score tables and video boards. Go to sidelineinteractive.com and schedule a live web demo to see their tables and their scoreboards in action. Their products not only generate income for your department, but they also create the ultimate game day experience for your student athletes. One of the best purchases I ever made was our Sideline Interactive indoor score table. Go to sidelineinteractive.com. Check out their products today.
Hey, Jake, I just want to talk a little bit about Gipper. I know they're one of your sponsors, and here at St. Vincent-St. Mary High School, we do use the platform Gipper, and without them, our social media presence would not be the same. They take us to the next level, and are fantastic to work with. So I wanted to just give a very quick shout out to Gipper and the team and everyone over there.
Yeah, I really appreciate that, Kyle. We just wrapped up our FIAAA conference. For our listeners who are recording this on May 8th. So you're going to hear it very timely, but the Gipper crew is down there, and you're right. They just do a great job. So appreciate you giving them that shout out. For our listeners, again, our guest is Kyle Sasala. He's the Director of Athletics at St. Vincent and St. Mary in Akron, Ohio. Kyle, you shared a little bit about your career. You're a newer AD, certainly not a rookie AD, but you're at the beginning of your journey. What are some things that you've experienced in the first couple of years that I guess we all try to look for those victories? Wow, I did a good job on that. So brag a little bit on yourself. What are a couple of victories that you've had, and maybe share a couple of challenges that moving forward. We all do it. We learn our lessons. So what can you share with our listeners about the journey so far?
Yeah, the journey has been short but sweet. There's been a lot of ups, like I talked to them before, a lot of downs. Being a new, younger AD has had a lot of its challenges, and it has also had a lot of its positives. One thing that I do remember my first year as the athletic director at Bishop Fenwick last year. I remember this very very vividly. I was a new athletic director. I was the assistant athletic director for the past 2 years, and I was being welded into the new AD because my previous AD was moving on to another position out of the state. So I basically transitioned into that role. But from that year to the next year, I had to hire 15 new head coaches. That was a journey in itself. We had to hire 15 new head coaches. And again, being a new AD, I was like, where do I start? I didn't know where to start. But hired 15 new head coaches with the same mindset, same mission, vision as myself, and same direction that we all wanted to go in. And just kind of took it from there. And it was nice to see, and I was proud to see the growth within those coaches that I hired, that were, I guess, my guys or my girls that I hired. And it just felt good to have that those new coaches in place under the direction of myself in the school, and to see them propel into these amazing coaches that they are. Those are some of the best practices. I continue to learn every single day. Again, being a newer younger AD, I learn every single day. Flipping the script, maybe some of the things that I can learn on. Again, being a young AD, it can be tough to have those tough conversations with maybe parents or coaches or players, or even colleagues. But I've learned that in this role, you have to have those tough, maybe uncomfortable situations or conversations with those parents, especially in the best interest of the student athlete or the program or the school. So those are tough. Those can be tough at times, and I'm continuously learning and getting better at having those tough conversations and going to different professional development courses and things like that. That definitely propelled me and helped me to have those conversations. But like I said earlier, a lot of ups, a lot of downs, and I'm looking for more ups and downs at this point. So I'm looking to take our department to the next level and help our student athletes in the best way possible.
Oh no, absolutely. As soon as you think you've got it figured out, something new comes along.
Mhm.
Um, Looking at the program now, 1 year under your belt,
Mhm.
um, what are some things that you think really helped you have that strong first experience? Like most schools, you probably had some new coaches, some veteran
Mhm.
coaches that, now, you are their leader. What are some things that you did specifically that that you think helped make that transition in the first year good?
Yeah, I would say open. My old AD, Michael Coleman, used to say open, honest, and transparent, and in real time communication. I'm very big on communication. I'm always on my phone, texting, emailing, calling, you name it. Um, but I think having open, honest, transparent communication with the head coaches, that one of the things I did when I first got here was I sat down with every single head coach before I was here and just talked to them and kind of let them know who I was. Talked about the program, what they are doing, where they want to go. Maybe some of the things that we need to work on, some things that we did well, some things that we didn't in the past, and how I can best support them. Because I think in these roles, you're there to support your coaches and your student athletes the best that you can, and also within that communication, letting the student athletes and also the coaches know that I'm not going to micromanage every little thing that you do. I'm here to support you and give you direction of where we want to go, and I hope you can jump on the boat and row in the same direction as myself in the school. So that was one thing. I think bringing in one of the things I did too is my assistant stepped away, in January, but also bringing in an assistant athletic director. Like I said earlier, I brought my old assistant athletic director from Bishop Fenwick High School, who is a Northeast Ohio native as well. But I think having that support behind me to help guide myself and to make those tough decisions, not just by myself but together moving forward. Um, but I think one thing too, and I don't want to keep going on, but I think just being visible and having a positive attitude with the coaches, and having a clear cut, mission and vision. This is where we want to go. And rather than having just the status quo of, this is how we've always done it type of mentality. I know change can be tough at times, but I think sometimes change is necessary. Um, so again, just having those clear cut, vision and letting them know my philosophy and where I want to go.
Yeah, the openness, the transparency, very cool. And you did something that I didn't learn how to do until very, very late in my career. And it was one of the best things I ever did. I became the AD at a new school. It was actually the school where I finished my career. But I met with every single coach just like you did. And the very first thing
Mhm.
I said, how can I help you have more fun with your job? What are some things that
Mhm.
I can do for you? And veteran coaches, new coaches, over the next several weeks and months, they got back to me. Nobody's ever asked us that before,
Yeah.
and it was fortunate for me that I was smart enough to steal that idea from somebody else. So good for you that you're doing it at the start of your career. For our listeners, our guest today is Kyle Sasala. He's a registered athletic administrator, and he's the director of athletics at St. Vincent, St. Mary. I'll get it right.
There you go.
Uh, in Akron, Ohio. We're going to take another break, but we're coming back. This is the Educational AD Podcast. We want to say thanks to our good friends at Hometown Ticketing, the leading digital ticketing provider to schools and colleges. Go to hometownticketing.com. They're going to show you how to set up and sell tickets for all of your events at your school, not just athletics, but things like school plays and concerts, school dances, even graduation. And the best part, every step of the way, you're going to have a dedicated client success manager providing hands on support to you. That's every step of the way. Go to hometownticketing.com and get started today. Simple and easy online ticketing. We also want to say thanks to Snap Mobile, which is the parent company of an entire suite of platforms designed to help you do your job better. You can find it all at snapraise.com. That's snapraise.com. Take a look, check out their different platforms, but especially take a look at SnapRaise, their fundraising platform. We used it at our school with tremendous success. The coaches and the parents just loved it. Um, and it works. They've helped schools just like yours raise over $700 million. They even have a program where they will give you your money before you actually start your fundraiser. Go to snapraise.com, find out all about it. That's snapraise.com.
Hey, Jake, I just want to give a quick shout out to Hometown Ticketing here at St. Vincent-St. Mary High School. We use the Hometown Ticketing platform, and has made my life a heck of a lot easier. All online ticketing, no cash involved, scanning at the gate. I couldn't say enough great things about Hometown Ticketing and things they do over there at Hometown. So again, just wanted to give them a quick shout out.
Well, Kyle, you're just too kind to do that. Again, we feel that the sponsors that we've had, I've used them all as an AD, so I can certainly vouch for them. But it's nice to hear when our guests who are working athletic directors on those front lines are using them as well. Really appreciate that. I know hometown does too.
Sure thing.
Next talking point, we always like to give our guests the opportunity to give a shout out to the mentors that they've had. None of us get to where we're at on our own. The expression that I probably use too often is I still hear those voices in my head of my mentors. So do you still hear voices?
Yeah, and I still talk to those voices, I guess, too. But no, I have to give a few shout outs. Obviously, we've already talked about Dr. David Kelly at the University of Cincinnati's undergraduate and graduate program over there. He has done nothing but great things. I know, like you said, he's been on the Educational AD podcast a few times. But I would not be where I am today without the help and support of him, and the guidance of him. He's been a great role model. In my time at Cincinnati, I remember a quick story. It would be quick. For every class he has you fill out a pamphlet and what you want to do with your life and what career path you want to do and write your number in this and that. And I was walking to business class one day and I got a call from Dr. Kelly. And I said, what is Dr. Kelly doing? And ever since that call, I've been in his classes. I've sat first row. I've raised my hand. I've been in every single class. I've even come back to speak on a few of his classes and do a couple podcasts with him as well. But definitely got to give him a quick shout out for all the things that he's done. He's put me in places that I wouldn't imagine I'd be at. I got to give a quick shout out to the past ADs that I've worked with. Steve Rossi over at Roger Bacon High School. He's been a great mentor. I still talk to him to this day. And joke around with him as well as the assistant athletic director there at Roger Bacon High School, where I did my graduate work. I'm actually going to his wedding here in the next few months. So I still stay in contact with all of these individuals. All my past and previous, principals, they've been there to support me and help me and guide me and show me the ropes. Obviously with them being a little bit older than myself, they've been there to guide me and help me on some of these difficult situations and things like that, and just saw something in me and gave me the shot that I need, as well as Michael Coleman. He was my previous athletic director at Bishop Fenwick High School. He's the one that molded me into to be the new athletic director at Bishop Fenwick when I was there, and he taught me a knowledge of wealth. I could keep going on and on about the different people and mentors and things like that, but I also got to give a shout out to my wife. I know this is different, not related, but just being that support system there as well. And obviously, I think being an AD, you have to have that support system at home. Because obviously, with us being away for so many hours and so many days and away from our family and friends, and they got to have that support system at home. But like I said, a lot of mentors, I would not be where I'm at today unless I had the help of those mentors and those role models. And now I classify them as friends that I can come to and help me with some of these situations that arise.
Yeah, some of the first advice I will pass on if I'm teaching an LTI course or doing a workshop is the importance of building that network. Okay, so if you don't, if you just think, well, gosh, I don't have any mentors, all the people in that room, all those ADs taking that LTI course, they're part of your network. Former ADs, people in your conference, people in your district, reach out to them, make those connections. Speaking of that may take us into our next topic. I know that you, and again, you're a younger AD, you're not a rookie or anything. You're at the beginning of your journey. But one of the things we'd like to talk about is that journey that we all take with our state association and with the NIAAA. Share with our listeners, how did you first get involved? You're currently in RAA, so you've taken a couple of the courses. Share with our listeners where you're at on your current journey.
Yeah, so I started my my NIAAA, OIAAA, Ohio Interscholastic Athletic Administrators Association, mouthful right there. But when I was in college at the University of Cincinnati, Dr. Kelly exposed that to myself, and I didn't really know what that was until I went through his coursework, and he had a partnership with the NIAAA as well as the OHSAA, our state organization. And just got me exposed to the different LTI, LTC classes. And I took 501, 502, 50, I think 503 as a student. I think it was my third or fourth year at Cincinnati. And I just fell in love with the coursework and fell in love with the relationships I've built within that course and the organization. Which then led me back to taking 50, I think it's 504 and 505 potentially, or 505, 506 to get my RAA. I took those two classes, and then again just kept falling in love with the classes, and then became an RAA. And I'm also working towards my CAA as well. I took a few classes. I went to the national conference this year in Nashville, and I took a student athlete leadership class, and I'm just taking different LTI classes and getting myself out there because obviously I am a newer, younger AD. I just want to piggyback off of the ADs that have been there and done that, and that can give me the expertise moving forward in my journey. But still looking to get my CAA, and I haven't had a chance to breathe yet. So I'm hopefully maybe this summer I'll look into my CAA and take my CAA exam and continue my education, and maybe even down the road when I can get my CMAA as well. But one step at a time, I guess.
No, I appreciate you sharing that. And we talk about this all the time. The LTI courses, they're great standalone, even if they were just going to be a one-off. Certainly, we don't want them to be a one-off. Looking back at those courses, 501, 502, 503, what's one thing, I know I'm ambushing you here, what's
No, you're
one
good.
thing that comes to mind that you have used, I'll put the bar high, just about every day as an athletic director that you learned in an LTI course?
Yeah, I would say I think it lays the foundation for what an athletic director does and it lays the foundation for what this profession is about. One of the things that came to my mind was when I took the student athlete leadership class. I'm looking to create a student athlete leadership team, a SALT team here at St. Vincent-St. Mary High School, and I really want to envision our student athletes to be leaders, and I think the only way to have them become leaders is to teach them about leadership and what it is to be respectful, accountable, all these different things that goes with being a leader. So those classes definitely broadened my awareness, and gave me some best practices to use when having our SALT meetings or SALT conversations with our coaches and student athletes. So I would say those classes, those LTI classes are very beneficial, and I will be using a lot of what I've learned from those classes in my day-to-day position here at St. V.
Well, I can tell you and our listeners that my CMAA project was the story of how we developed a student athlete leadership team at our school. Our kids ended up calling it the Captain's Council, but it was
Yeah.
the same idea, and it came out of an LTI course. So absolutely good stuff. For our listeners, once again, we're visiting today with Kyle Sasala. He is a registered athletic administrator, soon to be a CAA, and he's the athletic director at St. Vincent-St. Mary High School, and that's in Akron, Ohio. We're going to take another break. I know that's shocking to our regular listeners, but we're coming back with some more content on the Educational AD Podcast. We want to say thanks to Huddle for their support of the podcast. Go to huddle.com and change the way you see the game. When I was a football coach, I used Huddle for years, and it was just terrific. But when I became an athletic director, I made sure our school was a Huddle school. And all of our coaches, volleyball, basketball, soccer, you name it, just loved the tools and the technology that Huddle provided us. It was a professional grade solution to our program. At Huddle, we believe in sports and teams believe in Huddle. Go to huddle.com, join the 6 million users, find out how to turn your school into a Huddle school. We also want to say thanks to Wall of Fame by Vital Signs. You know, they're on a mission to bring your school's legacy to life. The Wall of Fame is actually an interactive touchscreen video console that's going to highlight your school's top performers, both past and present, in athletics, academics, and even the arts. But it's so much more than that. The Wall of Fame is also an extensive content program that allows you to tell more compelling stories to better engage your audience. Go to vitalsignswalloffame.com. Check out their great products. And when you're ready to buy, use the link vitalsignswalloffame.com/Jake for a nice little discount. That's Vital Signs Wall of Fame. Bring your school's legacy to life.
Hey, Jake, just wanted to give a quick shout out to Huddle for the amazing things that they do for my team and my coaches at St. Vincent-St. Mary High School. We have 2 of the Huddle focused cameras at St. Vincent-St. Mary High School, and we love the capability and everything that Huddle does for our teams and coaches. So again, just want to give a quick shout out to Huddle for the amazing things that they do over there.
We may have to get St. Vincent-St. Mary's residual here from all the help you're giving us. But again, it really does mean a lot when an athletic director who's working endorses one of the products. So thanks for doing that.
Sure
Kyle, one of the things that we like to do with the podcast is this idea of sharing best practices. So I'm going to put you on the spot again. What are some things that you do at St. Vincent-St. Mary's? Maybe these are initiatives that you brought in new, or maybe they've been doing them for 50 years or more, that you would consider best practices that you can brag on a little bit.
Yeah. I would always like to say the first thing that I did when I got here was just have a clear cut, vision, mission, guidelines, expectations of what I wanted the department to look like. I know that a lot of times, this is how we've always done it mentality, can be at different schools and whatnot. And I just wanted to move forward and have a clear cut vision and mission and philosophy of just, the bigger than the X's and the O's, the bigger than the wins and losses, bigger than the games, because one of the things that I preach here at St. V is, I want to use, and I took this from my old athletic director, Michael Coleman at Bishop Fenwick, but, using education-based athletics as a platform to transform student lives. I like to look at it that it's bigger than the X's and the O's, bigger than the wins and losses. And we want to teach them to be better human beings in general, rather than just a better athlete. I want them to be a better athlete, and I want to win, but I want to do it the right way. So again, having those clear cut expectations. One of the things I like to do too is surround myself with supportive people. I think the only way to be a good AD, a good coach, a good principal, whatever you want to call it, is to surround yourself with like-minded people, as well as people that are going to support you. So again, bringing in my assistant athletic director that had the same mission, vision, same way of doing things. And I use the analogy of rowing the same direction, so having that support, as well as with your principals and presidents. Obviously at a private school, we have president and principal, but having that support within the different within the administration. One thing too that I liked that I tried to do was got to know the other ADs in the area. I think you're only as good as the other ADs. You're going to be bouncing ideas off of them and saying, hey, how did you deal with this? Or hey, what do you do with this? Or I know I did that a lot when I was at Bishop Fenwick. We were in a league. We were in the GCL co-ed, but here at St. B, we're an independent school, so we don't have a league. But I still do talk with and bounce ideas off of other ADs, and kind of maybe steal a little bit of what they do and maneuver it and flip it to St. V and put our name on it. But obviously with some things flipped around and this and that. But I think too, I think here just being organized. I have actually, it's funny, on my phone, I use the reminders app, and I'll be laying in bed one night and I'll just think of something. Oh, I gotta write this down, because if I don't write it down, then I'll forget about it. But I think, and one thing too, again, just being, I said this earlier, being visible, and getting to know the different kids and the different coaches. And I like to build relationships with my coaches, not just professionally, but, also get to know if they have a family, how are they doing? What's their favorite, food? When's their birthday? I just like to get to know my coaches on a deeper level, than just the surface level.
Looking ahead, I didn't invent this phrase, but I certainly bought into it. We want to be happy about our successes, but we don't want to be satisfied. Looking
Mm.
ahead, what are some things that are maybe on your, 1 year, 3 year, 5 year plan that you would like to see get even better under your
Yeah.
watch?
Um, I definitely, I talked about this earlier, the leadership aspect. I want to obviously create that student athlete leadership team and instill leadership values and ideas within our student athletes. I think it's one thing for me to sit up there and talk about leadership and accountability and all that good stuff. But I think when the student athletes are the ones that are telling it to their brothers or their colleagues or their friends, and then word travels. I think that's one way to get in front of the kids. I think here in Northeast Ohio, we were surrounded by a lot of amazing schools and with great facilities, and that's one thing that at St. V we have the opportunity to build upon on that, and we're looking to replace our turf, as well as potentially adding on a new facility. We just built a brand new indoor weight room, as well as indoor not track, but indoor baseball, softball facility with turf as well for all-purpose utilization. But on top of that, just adding different facilities to our repertoire, because again, it's almost like keeping up with the Joneses around here. Everybody has the next top tier weight room or top tier field or whatever it may be. So again, I want to obviously add to that as well. But I think also too, I think a big one is bringing in the coaches that want to be here and that have the same, again, I keep talking about vision and clear expectations and guidelines and things like that. But again, having those coaches with us that row in the same direction. I know I keep using that phrase, but I just want to have those coaches that understand it. Again, I want to win, and I'm competitive as heck, and I don't want to lose. But as I get older and older, I understand that it's more than just the winning and losing. It's about creating those relationships with those student athletes and those coaches, and pushing them on to the next stage in life, whether that might be to be an athlete or not. It can be have them be a great father or a great person in the workforce or go off to college, whatever it may be. But instilling those values and life lessons that we teach here through the game is big for me.
No, absolutely. And you bring up a great point. We all want to win. We're trying to win games, but and I think you didn't say these words, but you certainly came about and say it, that the winning, that's simply an outcome of doing things the right way. Building those relationships with your kids and your coaches, and great stuff. I really enjoyed listening to you share about your program. For our listeners, our guest is Kyle Sasala. He's a registered athletic administrator, and he's the director of athletics at St. Vincent-St. Mary in Akron, Ohio. We're going to take another break, but we're coming back. This is the Educational AD Podcast. We want to take a moment and give a shout out to a brand new sponsor on the podcast. I want you all to go to district1.com for a better uniform experience. That's district followed by WON. And you're going to feel like you've won because District 1 offers you fully custom premium uniforms. They also have a one at a time replacement program. So you don't need to order a full set of uniforms when you only need to replace one or two. They also offer on-time delivery in 20 business days or less. So stop dealing with late deliveries and go to district1.com. Once again, that's WON on the back end. Click the Team Gear button and get a free quote. District1.com. Check them out today. Welcome back, everyone. Kyle, one of the topics that we have been discussing pretty much since the podcast started has to do with this idea of coaching toughness. A long time ago when I was in high school, our coaches would say things like, come on, guys, you got to be tough, or come on, Jake, you got to suck it up. And I think we knew what they meant and we did it. In the many years since then, we have figured out much better ways to communicate with our student athletes. But I still feel that toughness is an important quality for sport and for life. So here's my question. How can a coach or an AD help a Generation Z kid develop toughness while also being sensitive to and aware of the many real challenges that they are going through that I never had to go through back in the 70s? Do you have any advice for us?
Yeah, I can maybe talk about that a little bit. I think it starts with having the student athletes understand that this is a learning experience through the game of sport, whatever that sport is. Putting them in those uncomfortable situations, during practice or during the game, that creates that maybe that mental toughness as well as physical toughness. I think it has to do with one of the things I preach here at St. Vincent-St. Mary is, I want the student athletes to have a voice and to allow them to have a voice and have confidence and go to coaches and say, hey, I don't like this, or I have a question about this, rather than having the parents, maybe having the parents do it for them. We're here to teach them these life lessons and teach them, different things, the respect, the adversity, you name it, through sports. But again, pushing them to get in those uncomfortable situations that can get them ready for the next step in their life. Again, like I talked about, whatever that next step is. But again, one thing I do at St. V is pushing them to have a voice and to go to coaches if they have a problem with something or if they have a question about something. Again, that creates that maybe not necessarily toughness, but again, just gives them that expertise or that it gives them that learning experience. That mom and dad or a guardian or grandma and grandpa, whoever it may be, aren't going to do everything for them. One of the things I preach here is, again, these learning experiences through the game, but, I want them to be ready for the next stage, whatever that is. But I don't want mom and dad to have to be sending emails or calls or this, that to their professors in college next year or whatever that may be. I want them to learn it now and create that toughness or that mental or physical toughness now, that can get them ready for the next stage. But again, I think just in having them have open, honest, and transparent communication as well. I think this is more the physical, but having a proper weight training program. I know this is more the physical toughness, a proper weight training program instill within the sport or the team. And I think it has to do with being transparent with today's day and age, also, and just understanding each student athlete is going to be taught or coached a different way. And not every single student athlete is going to be coached a certain way. You have to take into consideration a lot of different things, whether it's homework or home life or you name it. So again, I think coaches and ADs and principals and everybody in the education definitely has a tough job moving forward with a lot of different things.
Now, again, I'm ambushing you here with this next question. And I thought that was a great answer. Absolutely. Kids today, it's not just, how I was coaching. You can't coach everybody the same way, my way or the highway. In your time as a coach, as an AD, can you think of an instance? There's probably a ton, but where you have seen that student athlete grow and maybe develop that toughness, that grit. A lot of people say resilience because of the efforts of you or another coach. Anything come to mind?
Yeah, I'll go back to my days at Fenwick, Bishop Fenwick. I was there for 3 years, so I saw the growth from the sophomores, from their sophomore year to junior to senior year. I saw the growth that they were this little introverted little itty bitty sophomore that had no confidence in themselves and that really didn't want to say anything or this or that. And then by the time they were a senior, they were lively. They were super confident. They were talking with coach all the time. They were having constructive feedback with coach, questions, comments, concerns, and one thing that really caught my eye was just again the growth of that student athlete and those student athletes. But how they just transform. I'm big on the transformation. They transform into not just that better athlete, but just a better student in general and person in general, with a lot of different values that they learn through the game. But that's why I like doing I love doing what I do. I love seeing the growth that these student athletes have, and the impact that these coaches and ADs and principals and administrators have on these student athletes and coaches. But yeah, no, I love to see the growth within within these student athletes, and to see the toughness that they can take on with them in the next stage of their life.
Yeah, those are great stories. And again, there's probably dozens more
Mhm.
that come to mind. That's why we're in it. We're in it for the kids. Kyle, this has been really cool spending some time with you, hearing about your
Yeah.
story and your school, but we're not done yet. We always wrap up with the athletic director's toolbox. And we've shared a couple of times, you're at the beginning of your journey. You're certainly not a rookie AD, but in just a moment, I'm going to challenge you to send out a brand new athletic director on the very first job, but I'm only going to let you put 3 things in their toolbox. So we're going to take a last break. We're going to hear from Athletic Surveys, who sponsor this segment. And when we come back, we're going to find out what Kyle Sasala is going to put in his new AD toolbox. So please stay with us. We want to thank Athletic Surveys for sponsoring the AD Toolbox segment of the podcast. Athletic Surveys are a quick, easy, and affordable way for you to collect comprehensive data that allows you to evaluate and improve your entire athletic program. Athletic directors usually only hear back from the complainers, and we need to hear from them, but we also need to hear from the 98% that really love and support our program. And that's where Athletic Surveys comes in. They can create a custom survey just for your school that lets you take the pulse of your parents and your student athletes. And that's a tremendously valuable tool to have when you're talking with a frustrated parent or your school board or your principal. Go to athleticsurveys.com. Let them show you all the things that they can do for you and your department. That's athleticsurveys.com. Let them help you take your athletic program from good to great. Well, it's that time of the podcast. We've been visiting with Kyle Sasala from St. Vincent-St. Mary High School in Akron, Ohio. It's his first year at St. Vincent-St. Mary, but he is not a rookie AD. But right now I'm going to challenge him to send out a rookie on their first job. But I'm only going to let him put 3 things in their toolbox. So Kyle, what 3 items are going to go in your athletic director toolbox?
I would say the first one would be, I know this is kind of philosophical maybe, but being present and visible in the community, as well as at different sporting events, out in the lunchroom, things like that. It's easy to get ourselves tucked away in our offices, and to be so busy and super, do everything we need to do for our student athletes and our coaches and our programs. But it's one thing to be out there and be visible, and also with that, having that good attitude. Even though sometimes, a lot of times, you don't feel like you're having the best days. So that's definitely one. Kind of to piggyback off of that, getting to know my second tool would basically be, I work at a private high school, so obviously I have a lot of alumni and donors, and as well as constituents that I deal with every single day, not just my student athletes and coaches, but getting to know the coaches, players, parents, and community, as well as the donors. I think when they understand where you are coming from and what direction you want to be, and where you want to take the direction of the programs and in the athletic department, that and getting out of your office and your rat hole, or whatever you want to call it, they will understand and understand you better. And there's going to be times where you make mistakes, and every time you make a mistake, they're going to say, "Oh, okay, well, that's just Kyle, because he is doing this, this, and this, and trying to make our teams better and trying to do what's best for our student athletes." So that's, I guess, one. 2. I think a big one that I've had to come to realization is being able to make tough decisions, even though the decision might not be in favor of everybody. I think as long as you have the mindset of what's best for the student athlete, you can't make a wrong decision in my mind. So again, having those tough decisions that have to be made that not everybody likes, and having to be that bad guy sometimes, that It can be tough being the bad guy, and I don't like being the bad guy, but I need to do what's best for the programs and the kids, even though not everybody's going to like that. That's three. I guess the last one, I guess I would say, is surrounding yourself with supportive people. Having a great assistant, having maybe an administrative assistant. One thing that I do here is at the same V is I have an internship program where I pull from the local colleges, and I have 3 to 4 interns every single semester that help us out with different items, different social media, websites, you name it. They help us out with a lot of different things. But surrounding yourself with supportive people and people that see the same vision and mission as you, and that will help you, especially in those tough times that you're going to have.
Boy, all of them. You probably saw me scribbling your suggestions down. You talked about it during our interview, the importance of building relationships, and it's so true. And you listed quite a few groups there. The students, the coaches, the alumni, et cetera. Good stuff. And then again, having that team. One thing I was smart enough to do during my career was surround myself with great people, and it just makes us all better. Very cool stuff. We didn't do this earlier, so shame on me. But right now, if one of our listeners wanted to reach out, pick your brain a little bit more, find out a little bit more about how you do things at your school, what's the best way that they can get a hold of you?
Yeah, email me, my last name, Sasala, at stvm.com. I'm always looking to connect with different people, connect with maybe students from different colleges, or even high school students that want to just get a better explanation of what we do on a day-to-day basis. I'm always looking for more help, so if they want to come over here to St. V and experience the highs and the lows, I'm all for it.
Well, appreciate you giving that information out. And listeners, I think you got a great young resource here. Kyle, again, thanks for sharing with us today, and all the best moving forward with the program.
I appreciate it. Thank you for having me on, and best of luck. Thank you.
Oh, absolutely. For listeners, we do this just about every day, and we upload the Zoom recordings to the Educational AD Podcast YouTube channel. We always appreciate you listening. Come back next time for another great interview, and just about every day for new content on the Educational AD Podcast. We'll see you next time.